Welcome back! Here in the second part of our series, we'll check out some of the new tool features in the latest version of Altium Designer. ActiveRoute is a powerful routing tool that allows great improvement to manual routing in Altium Designer. Let's take a quick look at this tool in action. Here we have several routes shown in the schematic between the two connectors. Looking at the rules, we can see that a few apply to these connections. One is the length rule, and the other two are length matching rules. These rules utilize net classes for data and address nets. ActiveRoute can't just route these connections. It can also route them based on length and matching rules as well. Using the panel button, select PCB ActiveRoute, or use the keyboard shortcut Shift and A to open the ActiveRoute panel. To select the nets you want to route, select the connection lines. Enable tuning with the Tune Selected checkbox and apply the match length rules that apply to these selected nets. Then enable both signal layers to provide enough routing capacity. With the connection lines highlighted, click on ActiveRoute. This did technically work, but the routing is spread around and not very tidy. Obviously, you want your routing to be as clean and efficient as possible. This is where the Route Guide feature can save you a lot of time. I use it when I need to keep an area clear of routes. Let's unroute everything and start over. Reselect the connection lines and click on the Route Guide. Here we can place guides on the PCB for the path we want the routing to follow. Right-click to end, adding the guide. Then click ActiveRoute and see the results. Take a look at these last two signals. I'm going to use the Route Guide to purposefully place them badly so that we can demonstrate the gloss feature. Select the tracks you want to clean up using the Route pull-down menu, then choose Gloss Selected. This will clean up the tracks. We're going to take a look at the Layer Stack Manager through a different project next. A lot of updates and additions have gone into the Layer Stack Manager in the newer version of Altium Designer. Let's take a look through the expansion board project. First, to open the Layer Stack Manager in the PCB view, use the Design pull-down menu and select Layer Stack Manager. This will open a new active document showing the current PCB stackup. All these layers are editable by selecting them and making the desired changes in the Properties panel. The board section of the Properties panel is important. We can see that stack symmetry is checked. This will affect when we add and remove layers because the tool is going to maintain symmetry. To add a layer, right-click on one of the layers, choose to insert layer above or below, and select the type, either signal or plane. Notice that not one but two layers got added. That's because of the stack symmetry being checked. Unchecking that allows you to directly add or remove layer by layer. Back in the Layer Stack Manager under the Via Types tab, we can add Via Types. You can see the default layer 1 to 4 through Via. To add Vias, click on the plus sign. It assumes that top layer 1 to 2 blind via option. Checking the mirror option adds the corresponding layer 3-4 blind matching via. If needed, Altium Designer supports micro vias. As you can see, the shape of the vias change. You can add other vias as needed, depending on the number of layers. Before we move on, the Feature drop-down menu provides different types of PCB projects, including printed electronics, rigid flex, and back drills. We'll explore some of these options in the next video. For now, let's talk about impedance. To set up the PCB for impedance-driven routing, click on the Impedance tab. In the right side of the window, there is an Add Impedance Profile button. To drive the creation of impedance traces, we will add the desired targets here. In the default profile, the setup is for 50 ohms, and it's called 550. Let's change that to a target of 45 ohms. This will automatically change the numbers for the trace width and the profile name. Let's add another 50 ohm profile for the sake of rule creation. We'll use the impedance profiles when we create the PCB rules for the impedance-constrained signals. Opening up the rules again on the PCB, we can add a rule for trace width based on the impedance profile. Let's add a new width rule. We'll call out the target nets and click Use Impedance Profile. Now we can select the proper impedance profile, and the signals will be routed with the target impedance width that we have set up in the Layer Stack Manager. The PCB can be viewed in both 2D and 3D. A new feature is the ability to export a 3D PDF file. This file is a portable 3D view of the board, and along with Draftsman documents, can be very handy for documentation. To output a 3D PDF from the PCB view, click on the File pull-down menu, select Export, then 3D PDF. I normally leave the defaults. This generates the PDF file and opens it. You can manipulate the board in 3D, rotating, zooming, etc. Back in the tool, we can explore the Draftsman feature. To create a Draftsman document, right-click on the project and add New to Project. You can choose any of these options, but we'll choose the assembly drawing as an example. Here's the resulting Draftsman drawing. The Properties panel allows you to edit and add to this drawing. You can even add additional views using the Place pull-down menu. Normally, I'd add dimensions to the drawing as well as notes for assembly, but there are plenty of other things you can add from the Place menu. We've covered a lot of new features in Altium Designer so far, but there are still a lot of things you could be missing out on. In the final video of our series, we're going to take a look at the new PCB projects Altium Designer now supports.